Hello class 6, welcome back. Children, before I tell you the answers of your ninth assignment, I would like to say something regarding your syllabus of English grammar. Now in English grammar we have done two chapters, chapter number 1 sentences and chapter number 2 nouns. Okay, so these two chapters are coming in your exam. Beside these two chapters, two more questions will become which will be based on unseen passage, okay, and another one will be of creative writing, that is composition. So you prepare yourself for these two other extra questions also. Creative writing basically is done, composition is basically given so that we can judge how good Hello class 6, welcome back. Children, before telling you the answers of your ninth assignment, let me say something about the syllabus of your English grammar. In your English grammar, we have done two chapters, chapter 1 sentences and chapter 2 nouns. So these two chapters are coming. Beside these two chapters, a composition will also come, okay, and you'll be given a topic and you'll be asked to write about it, a short paragraph in about 100 to 150 words, okay. So and one more question will be there, that is of unseen passage, right? Okay, now coming to your ninth assignment. In your ninth assignment, you were given two sentences from exercise A, page number 42, which was true and false. The first sentence was, the landslide caused the trees and loose earth to fall on the railway line, and it is a yes, it's a true statement. Number 2 was, Phyllis thought that the trees were moving because of magic, so that is also yes, okay. So beside these, extra exercises were given to you from page number 44, that is, it was from the vocabulary part, and you were asked to fill in the blanks to complete the sentence. In the box there were words given and you were asked to use those words to complete the sentences, okay. So let's see the answer. Number 1, looking at the oncoming traffic, Latika decided not to cross the road. Number 2, they sent me a prompt reply to my letter. Prompt means quick reply. Number 3, one could see the sorrow on his face quite plainly. Number 4, the sound was low and distant. Many in the room didn't hear it. Number 5, he has learnt how to drive a car recently and drove rather jerkily yesterday. Number 6, the excited child added breathlessly. Breathlessly means like in excitement when we talk too fast without taking any, breath in between. So that's called breathlessly. So the last answer is breathlessly, okay. Beside this, from page number 46, punctuation exercise was given, in which it was said, rewrite these sentences changing the contractions to their expanded forms. Contraction means the short form. If you remember when we were doing question tags, I had told you, like, if the isn't is the short form of is not. So that short form, grammatically an appropriate or more correct word for that short form is contractions, okay. So in these 6 sentences, few words were written in contraction form. You had to write the full form of that contraction and rewrite the sentence, okay. So the first one was, what's that? So here, what's is the short form of the contraction form of, it can be two things. Either it is what is that, then also it's what's that, or what was that. In both ways, the contraction of what is or what was is the same, that is what's, okay. Next, number 2, let's go home. So the full form of let's is let us. So the answer will be let us go home. Number 3, the 11:29 down hasn't gone by yet. So the hasn't is the contraction form of has not. So the correct answer is the 11:25 down has not gone by yet. Number 4, the train wouldn't see us till it got round the corner. So the wouldn't is the contraction form of would not. Okay, so the answer will be the train would not see us till it got round the corner. Number 5, I wish we hadn't put on our woolen scarves. So the full form of hadn't is had not. I wish we had not put on our woolen scarves. And the last one, we've got 7 minutes. Here we've is the contraction form of we have. So you will say we have got 7 minutes. Okay, so these were the answers of your 9th assignment. And now we'll continue with the remaining part of the chapter. For that you have to open page number 38 and we'll begin from where we have left. Now before doing that, what we have read so far, we have read that there were 3 siblings, Roberta, Peter and Phyllis. Roberta is the eldest one. Her nickname is Bobby, and Phyllis is the youngest one, and they live with their mother in England, in Yorkshire, and the cottage is a small cottage which is near a railway line. One day they were out picking out cherry blossom, and when they were almost near the swing gate at the top of the wooden steps, they heard a loud noise, and when they looked toward the direction from where the loud noise were coming, they saw that the trees on the top of the rock, you can say, was sliding down. That means they saw a landslide. And Phyllis, being the youngest one, she was quite amazed, because she always felt that the railway line had magical powers. So when she saw that, it appeared to her as if it was magic. Now we'll begin from the second last line of page number 38. It really did seem a little like magic, for all the trees for about 20 yards off the opposite bank seemed to be slowly walking down towards the railway line, the tree with the grey leaves bringing up the rear like some old shepherd driving a flock of green sheep. All the trees were moving very slowly towards the railway line. They were slowly descending from the top of the hill towards the railway line, and it seemed as if something was guiding them, just as a shepherd drives a flock of sheep in a direction. Now what is a shepherd? Shepherd is a person who takes the flock of sheep out for grazing and brings them back safely. He is completely responsible for the safety of the sheep. So when all the trees were together moving down towards the railway line, it was the same as if a shepherd was driving the flock of trees toward the railway line. So that is why the movement of trees down the slope towards the railway line was like a magic. "What is it? Oh, what is it?" said Phyllis. "It's much too magic for me. I don't like it. Let's go home." But Bobby and Peter clung fast to the rail and watched breathlessly, and Phyllis made no movement towards going home by herself. The movement of trees down the slope of the hill was too unbearable for Phyllis, because it seemed too magical for her, and she got a little scared. As a result, she asked her elder siblings Roberta and Peter to move from there and head back home. But Peter and Bobby were also looking at it, and they too were quite scared with all that movement, with all that thing that they were watching. As a result, they were holding the rails very tightly, and none of them, neither Roberta nor Phyllis or Peter, made any advancement or made any movement towards going back to their home. The trees moved on and on. Some stones and loose earth fell down and rattled on the railway metals far below. "It's all coming down," Peter tried to say, but he found there was hardly any voice to say it with. And indeed, just as he spoke, the great rock on the top of which the walking trees were leaned slowly forward. The trees were moving down the slope of the hill, and along with the trees, few small stones, pebbles, and loose soil was also moving down, and it was hitting the railway track, and it was making sound. And as Peter saw all this, he said that it's all coming down, that everything that is there on top of the rock, it is slowly coming down, but he was not able to say it quite loudly. And just as he spoke, the top of the rock on which the trees were moving, it slightly leaned. Leaned means this is a standing position, and leaning means slightly to bend forward. It leaned because of the slope of the hill. The trees, ceasing to walk, stood still and shivered. Leaning with the rock, they seemed to hesitate a moment, and then rock and trees and grass and bushes, with a rushing sound, slipped right away from the face of the cutting and fell on the line with a blundering crash that could have been heard half a mile off. A cloud of dust rose up. So suddenly the trees stopped moving, and when something is moving and suddenly it stops, so it becomes little shaky. So that the trees which were moving down the slope of the hill, suddenly they stopped, and then when they again started moving, it was all the rocks, trees, grass, bush, everything which was there on top of the hill, it all started moving quite fast, and it rushed down towards the railway line, and it fell on the railway track, which produced a big amount of dust, a big cloud of dust, and the sound, that was the crashing sound that was made due to the falling of the rock, the trees, the pebbles, and everything on the railway track, it was quite blundering. That means it was quite loud. "Oh," said Peter in awestruck tones, "isn't it exactly like when coals come in? If there wasn't any roof to the cellar and you could see down." "Look, what a great mound it's made," said Bobby. "Yes," said Peter slowly. He was still leaning on the fence. "Yes," he said again, still more slowly. Then he stood upright. The cloud of dust that rose due to the falling of the trees and soil on the railway track, it reminded Peter of the coals when they are dumped in a cellar. Cellar is like a room which is in the underground, an underground room where coal is stored. So Peter was reminded of that scene. He remembers that the cloud of dust that rose out of falling of the trees on the railway track was reminding him of the dust that arises when coal is dumped into a cellar which is not having any door. So Peter says that the cloud of dust that is rising out of this landslide is the same as if when the coal is dumped into the cellar. And then Bobby says that, see how big mound has been made, and Peter agrees with it, and he slowly says yes, like he repeats, yes, it's the same thing, Yana. Yes, it is looking like it, similar to the dust that arises when a coal is dumped. And then he suddenly remembers something, and he stands upright. "The 11:29 down hasn't gone by yet. We must let them know at the station, or there'll be a most frightful accident. Let's run," said Bobby, and began. But Peter cried, "Come back," and looked at Mother's watch. He was very prompt and businesslike, and his face looked whiter than they had ever seen it. Now what he remembers? Suddenly Peter remembers that the train which was supposed to leave the station at around 11:29 is about to pass through the same area where the landslide has occurred. So suddenly he stands right and he tells his sibling that, you know, we have to go, we have to tell the station master, we have to tell somebody about this frightful accident, this horrible accident. Listening this, Bobby agrees and she says, yes, let's run towards the railway station. But Peter cries. Now here cry doesn't mean that weeping. He shouts and he says that girls start running. Bobby and Phyllis, they start running, but Peter stops them from running and he looks at the watch that was of his mother, and he was quite, you know, businesslike. The way he was behaving was as if he is a grown person, and his face was quite white in the sense his face was turning pale because of anxiety, because of something that he anticipated. Now, what did he anticipate?
No time, he said. It's 2 miles away and it's past 11. If we had anything red, we could get down on the line and wave it. But the train wouldn't see us till it got round the corner, and then it could see the Mount just as well as us, said Phyllis. Better because it's much bigger than us. Anyway, let's get down.
Peter stopped his siblings, his sisters, from running towards the station. Why? Because he says that, you know, we do not have any time to run to the station and tell the station master, because it is almost 2 miles. The station is 2 miles away from this place where the accident has occurred, and it is almost past 11. Past 11 means it is almost 11 o'clock, and you know, the train is about to pass through it, and the time we are going to take to reach the station, it will not be enough to warn the station master or the engine driver about this frightful accident. So he says that if we have anything red, we could use it to, you know, wave it from a distance, so that the driver, who is the engine driver, can see us and avoid this accident. So he says that if we have something red, we can go along the railway line, and we can use that thing to wave and indicate about danger to the engine driver. So Phyllis says that yes, your idea is correct, that we should use something red, but even if we'll use it, the train, that is the engine driver, not the train, the engine driver will not be able to see us till the time it gets around the corner, and the moment it reaches the corner, it will be too late for it, and they will not be able to stop the engine or stop the train from hitting the mound of landslide.
They got down the steep stairs. Bobby was pale and shivering. Peter's face looked thinner than usual. Phyllis was red-faced and damp with anxiety.
So, anyways, all three of them, Roberta, Bobby and Phyllis, they climbed down the stairs. Bobby was, you know, pale means she lost her color because of anxiety. She was quite nervous, and out of nervousness she was shivering. Peter's face was also looking quite, you know, tensed, and Phyllis was also red-faced, and she was also full of anxiety, and she was sweating a lot. Like damp with anxiety means she was sweating a lot out of worry.
Oh, how hot I am, she said, and I thought it was going to be cold. I wish we hadn't put on our... She stopped short and then ended in a quite different tone. Our woolen scarves. Bobby turned at the bottom of the stairs. Oh yes, she cried. They are red. Let's take them off.
Now Peter was sweating profusely. She was sweating very profusely out of anxiety, out of worriness. So she suddenly says that, you know how hot I am. I'm feeling very hot, and you know it's a cold winter. So I thought that it is going to be very cold. And then says, I wish we hadn't put on these, you know, and then suddenly she stops, and then very slowly, I wish we had never worn this woolen scarves. Now, why her tone changed when she said her woolen scarves? The moment she said woolen scarves, Bobby turned and looked at her, and then she, out of joy, she says, yes, the woolen scarves, we have to take them off, because the scarves which the girls were wearing and Peter was wearing was red in color. So remember, Peter had said that we should use something red, and the scarves which the girls and Peter were wearing was a red woolen scarf. So Bobby said that we must take it off so that we can use it.
They did, and then ran along the railway, skirting the newly fallen mound of stones and rock and earth and bent, crushed, twisted trees.
So Roberta, Phyllis and Peter, they all took off their woolen scarves which they were wearing around their neck. It was red in color, so they took it off, and just holding it in their hand, they started running along the railway track. And as they were running, they tried to move around the edge of the mound of the fallen rocks and trees.
They ran at their best pace. Peter led, but the girls were not far behind. They reached the corner that hid the mound from the straight line of railway that ran half a mile without curve or corner.
They ran as fast as they could, and Peter was leading them. He was the first. He was ahead, and the girls were behind him, but they were not very far behind. And they reached the corner from where the mound, the heap of landslide, or the mound of landslide was hidden from the straight line of the railway track.
Now we have got the scarves, said Peter. He looked at the watch again. And we have got 7 minutes. We must have flagstaffs.
After reaching there, Peter says that, okay, we have got the red scarves. Now, again, he looks at the watch and he says that we have still got 7 minutes. And to use those woolen scarves to warn the engine driver about the accident, we need to have a flagstaff. Now, what is a flagstaff? Flagstaff are poles on which flags are fixed. Okay, like during our sports day, every house has got its own flag. So that flag is fixed on a pole. So that pole on which flag is fixed is called a flagstaff. So Peter says that we still have got 7 minutes and we need to make a flagstaff so that we can put our woolen scarves on it and wave it so that the engine driver could see us from quite a distance and will realize that there is danger ahead.